Steve, you were late
Kyle.
this evening, and this is why we had to start at 8:30. I need you to explain to our lovely audience why you were late. I'd like to hear myself.
It's because the Earth is not flat, and we have things called time zones, I guess, now. And so, between your time, my time, Dave's time. Actually, no. The reason why we are late today is because our original guest, for whatever reason, for the second time, has decided not to be available for whatever reason. So we were getting things
We are not
taken care of.
and we are none too pleased with the Most High. None too pleased.
No, Most High didn't. He failed us today. So we are gonna
The most
do what
loved.
we got to do. And we were spending some time getting this set up. So there you go. Hopefully it'll be worth it because we love debate roulette. I love it.
Here we are, and we have put a bunch of topics on there that are sure to polarize people, anger people, piss people off.
We need a
force them
dumpster
to choose a
fire.
side. There is no middle ground here. I know one of them is white privilege a real thing, so that should be a.
That's what I want. I want that one.
Icebreaker.
God, I hope we
get
get that one.
Icebreaker.
I really do. I got somebody messaging me. They want to actually debate that one, so I'm really hoping we do get that one. I want a good dumpster fire. I want to see knockout blows. I want to see people just talking mad shit. I want to see people cry today. I'm in one of those moods. I'm so happy. It's a great day. I got coffee. Even I got in my cool little cup. That's magic. Woo!
I think you've got I think you got something else. Along with that coffee. How many lines did you do before we? How many lines did you do before you came on the show?
Well, it wouldn't show because of my gray, so you couldn't actually tell if I got a little.
We know.
How do you do that? I don't know how to do it. Wait, how do you do that? Or is it dabbing? Is it like this? I don't know the drug culture. I suck at it. I don't know.
Oh my God! Stop it! Stick to philosophy.
So bad at this stuff. I'm so bad at trying to emulate the drug culture.
Snorting cocaine out of the crook of his arm.
No, wait, no, that's not what dabbing is. I thought it was like some kind of like acid or something. It's also a dance too, right? Dab.
Oh,
I'm not hip enough for this shit. All right, thanks for joining us tonight, guys. Good night.
I am so sorry, America and the rest of the world. You should not be exposed to this. This is just, oh man.
Wait till we get into the topics.
First of all, you can do it in between your thumb and your index finger, or you can grow your pinky out. The nail of your pinky. Yeah.
Now I've done that actually. Believe it or not, I used to have a coke nail, even though I never do coke. But I just thought they were cool back in the years and years ago. But I learned they're not very that cool.
You should not speak anymore tonight. I swear
to God, I had a coke nail. Even in the military, I had a coke nail. And somebody, a true story. Somebody had found out about it, and they told my chief. And during an inspection, like the day after, my chief was like doing a fingernail check. And luckily, that's the day before I decided to get rid of it. And he looked like an idiot. It was kind of classic. He's like, "Oh, I'm like, why the fuck you doing a fingernail check?"
I bet you had a rat tail or a mullet, didn't you?
Not in the Navy. No, I had a mullet when I got out. Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
Of course you did. Okay.
Of course I did.
What were you gonna say, Dave?
I was just gonna say, Steve, don't ever do that again.
Yeah, I don't know what's gotten into him, but you should just sit over there and smile, Steve, because you've done so much damage in the first 3 minutes. To your
that's the right way.
Am I doing it right now?
Right there on the web of your finger. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh man.
Okay.
Let's get to.
I thought you were supposed to snort it off a hooker's dead ass or something.
For Steve's sake, let's see if we can't move on to let's see if we can't move on to the debate roulette, because we need to save him. Okay, so it's back. We have in our last minute efforts to throw together something, I think we have put together a cool list of things to argue about. Hopefully, get a dumpster fire. So let's get to that actually. And the way we're going to do this today, we had some issues with the wheel that we normally use, and the one that we're using tonight is kind of more labor intensive as far as putting in the numbers or the names that we would use normally. So what we're going to do is we're going to spin the wheel for the topic, but in the chat, if you want to come on and debate, obviously we're going to let super chats go first. They will be up at the front of the line. After that, will either do 1 for a yes, 2 for a no. So if you're voting in favor of whatever the proposition is, you're going to hit 1. 2s are no's, and then Dave will randomly select one of those individuals. Cool. That's just the way we're going to have to do it tonight. But hopefully we'll get it in quick, and we can get maybe 3 rounds in. And the way this is going to work is you get an introduction time period of 3 minutes. Then we're going to go into 2 5-minute rounds, and then an open discussion. So you'll have 3 minutes to introduce yourself, and then 5 minutes to state your position. And then the rest of the time will be a discussion between the two of you back and forth, much like we do here on a regular basis. I also want to say before we start, the voting is still open for the nominations for the Golden Nuns, which is on November the 25th. It's separated into 2 parts. You can go to tinyurl.com/Golden Nuns. And the first section is a YouTube-wide voting, and it's a fill-in. So things like video of the year, animated video of the year, best channel, those things are fill-in. So it's YouTube-wide. It doesn't have to be anything that had to do with this show. It doesn't have to be a guest that's been on here. Anybody that you want, you can vote for. We'll take the top 4 out of each of those categories as we get closer to the 25th, and then you will vote on everybody as a whole will vote on the final 4 out of each category. The second part of that voting form is multiple choice, and those have to do with non-sequitur specific shows, like best debate that we've had, most notorious guest, the biggest dumpster fire, those kind of things. So that voting will go on for another 3 weeks. We've had a really cool response so far. They run the gambit as far as it's a wide range of videos and personalities, so it's going to be a really cool thing. So check that out. I'll put the link to that in the description here in just a second. And Steve, you got anything you want to throw out there before we get rolling?
I really like your shirt today. And it's really cool on the inside because you got these weird interference patterns, but I don't think the outside shows them. But that's a good shirt.
Oh, it doesn't? That's the whole reason that I wanted to wear this.
But I like the interference patterns. I don't think the outside. Okay, you see them. I'm not going crazy, right?
No, hey, I see them.
Okay, because I think that's badass. I don't know if it translates to the outside.
I think it's our resolution, probably.
I think it is too. We're gonna have to screenshot though that because I think it looks awesome.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, let's bring up that beautiful wheel and see if we can't get a fight going on.
Yes.
Tonight, God will be picking our topic. So let's spin that bad boy. Oh, I can't even read that.
Does the Big Bang best describe the events that created our universe?
Okay, spin again. As always, we get 2. Steve and I have executive choice if one is better than the other. So go ahead and spin it again, Dave.
The people who had watched the program yesterday might have an advantage on that. Unfortunately, Kyle had an accident, so he couldn't join us. I don't know if he watched it, but they might have an advantage on that.
I started to. Are we living in a simulation? Ooh. We should go with that one.
I would love this one. The only problem I'm going to first see is that I don't know how many people know much about it. It's a complicated topic, and we will be discussing it. I think we have What the If coming on next week. Or is it this week?
Yep, tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah, you're right. Yeah, this week's go by fast. Yeah, tomorrow we have it actually, so it's be perfect to kind of touch it on it today if people know about it. Sure.
Yeah, we'll see if they do. If not, we'll go with the Big Bang, and that'll be good. So we'll start with are you living in a simulation? If you want to come on and debate that, like I said earlier, the super chats will go first. So if you send in a super chat, make sure that you enter in a number with that super chat so we know which side of the question that you're going on. And if not, we will go into the 1s and 2s from the rest of the live chat. So you can vote. You start voting now. 1, if you think we are living in this simulation. 2, if we are not. 1, if we are.
Don't be a jackass and put 3. No, I'm just kidding. 3 means you probably have no idea what the hell you're even talking about. Somebody had mentioned. Oh, of course, I already did, dude. Somebody mentioned the Mandela effect. Good news. We actually will be doing an episode on the Mandela effect. I have a friend. Should I tell people who it is? I don't know. Because some people do know this person. All right. I have a friend. You guys might know her from years ago. Her name is Rose Patton. She's infamous in the conspiracy blogosphere realm. She believes very heavily in the Mandela effect, and a lot of people don't have kind words for her. But I've known her for a very long time. We have a really good rapport with each other, and I had asked her if she wants to come in and take the pro position for that, and she's actually said yes. So if you want to see a bucket full of ton of crazy, that's Rose Patton. It's going to be a hell of a shit show, I think.
I've never heard of Rose Patton. I've never seen anything with her.
She's infamous. Yeah, she's
in
infamous.
a good way or a bad way.
Well, it depends how you look at it. I mean, she's like the queen of dumpster fires. I mean, she's always been civil to me in my hangouts. I mean, I think we may have 1 or 2 blowups, but I mean, she's like one of those people that never met a conspiracy theory she didn't like, right? And so she knows I disagree with her vehemently on every issue, but we happen to actually like each other. We would talk for many hours in the middle of the night just about a lot of things. But she's a good person, I think. Just a little bit batshit in some way.
That's okay though.
But I say that lovingly. I say that lovingly. Yeah, yeah.
I can see from the Dave will pick somebody from the ones, but from the twos, since let me get his name. Archive, I believe that's how you say that. He sent a $10 super chat that said, "Love the show, guys." Obviously, you will get first choice if you want to come in, since you voted and you sent in a super chat. So, you will be taking the no if you do come in. And so I saw a couple ones in there. So we do have a debate. To me, and this is why I'm excited that What the If's coming on tomorrow. This is one of my favorite theories, even though I don't believe it at all. Like, I don't think there's any merit to it, but I do think it's fascinating, especially the arguments behind it.
Yeah, the postulates for simulation theory kind of make sense. I just don't think it's very convincing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, we don't really have time. But who? He's declined. Okay. So, in 20 seconds, we will let Dave close his eyes and, I guess, throw a dart at it, Dave. Do you have darts there at your house?
Yeah, I don't know if my screen will like that, though.
Oh. Okay. Okay.
But
3,
like
2,
I am is coming to debate.
1.
Yes.
Okay. We have a debate, I think.
Yeah, if we can get I am to come to the room.
And then for the nose.
Let's see for the nose. It looks like Rapid X is coming in for the nose if they want to come in.
I don't know either of these people. This should be great.
Rapid X and I am.
Do we know these people? I mean, do these names sound familiar to anybody? Okay. So get into the Discord, guys.
Yeah, get into Discord.
Tell them to come right into the debate waiting room.
Right. I believe the link is in the description to the Discord. I believe.
I don't think it is.
Oh, you should add that.
You want to pass me the link and I can do that?
We're so professional. Sure. And while we wait on them to get in there, there's something that I want to talk about as well that happened yesterday. Let me get Steve this link. There was a young lady back in the 1940s by the name of Freddie, and Freddie has a really cool story that I didn't know about until recently, and I don't think that most people really know about. But she was a young girl, around 15 to 16, during World War II. And what Freddie would do as part of leading a kind of resistance against Nazi Germany, she would seduce SS soldiers, with promises to take them out in the woods, things happen, and she would either be carrying a blunt instrument or a gun, and she took out several Nazis by this method. And she died yesterday. Well, she lived to be 90, I want to say 92. She died shortly before her 93rd birthday, but you just don't hear about those kind of stories, or at least I haven't. That was news to me. Have you ever heard it before, Steve?
No, not really. I mean, obviously there was like things like Madame Harry she was a spy that kind of used sexual things to carry out spy missions, but not to the extent that this person would actually kill the people. I mean, seduce them with sex, or I don't know if she even fulfilled that, but she at least tried to seduce them, and then she killed them. Yeah, I don't know too many stories like that, but that to me is a hero.
Yeah, especially at that age. I mean, like, I remember what I was doing when I was, 15. I was an idiot. I was like a drooling. I mean, to be able to do something like this, to decide that you're going to fight back and the way you're going to do it is to, not only it said that she would ride past guards sometimes at night, and in the basket on her bike she would have handguns, and she remembers the sinking feeling she would feel as she pedaled past the guards, because all I had to do was stop her and search her, and it was over for her. But that's pretty brave.
That's brave as fuck, man. That's okay. You don't get much braver than that. By the way, that person can't do it.
Can't do it.
Yeah.
So I don't know who. I don't know where IM is. Maybe we need to pick some new people.
Well, we've got another number 1. Let's just see here. I just need to go back up and take a look.
This always happens. People vote, and then they decide they don't want to come in.
Yeah, it is kind of a common occurrence, isn't it?
Uncle Ned is the other one.
Uncle Ned is saying yes. So Uncle Ned, we know he can pop in. So someone fire off Uncle Ned into the Discord server.
The Discord server is in the video description now, and it's actually in the live chat as well. So
yeah, Uncle Ned knows how to get into the Discord server. So let's get into a number 2 now.
Uncle Ned is Asgardian.
He's
smart.
Mm-hmm.
Oscar Mayer. That'll be number 2.
Does it feel good to have somebody with the same nationality as you, Kyle, coming in? I mean, so you don't feel so alone? Being the only Asgardian in the room right now?
Well, I'm torn because Oscar Mayer's coming in, and we know how I feel about wieners. And then there's my fellow Asgardian, so not really sure. I'm probably going to go with the wiener, though, because that's more fun than playing Rocket Man. So, yeah.
Fair enough.
Tidbit, too, we are, I believe last time I checked it in the morning. I think the last time that I checked, we were over the Cape, one of the capes in Africa. That's where the NonSequitur show in space is. We're actually floating over the African continent. So, how does that make you feel, Steve?
Yeah, it's still creepy, Steve. Actually. It's creepy to think that we have an image up there right now of us somewhere over Africa. I just haven't wrapped my head around that. Even though I've been to Africa. Not a very fun country.
Based on your comments tonight, do you know how I see you now? Like what my mind is, conjuring up in my head. I see you as this tonight. We are seeing Grand Theft Auto Vice City, Steve.
I love that game. Are you kidding? That game is fucking badass. I do play Grand Theft. Yes. How'd you know that? Well, and 4. I don't have
Uncle Ned.
Yes.
Uncle Ned is going to. We're just waiting for somebody to say no. And what I'm going to do right now is, for the people who voted no, the first person to get into the Discord gets into the debate.
There you go.
Yeah. Just had to remember my key bindings for push to talk on this thing.
There's your Asgardian.
Uncle Ned. Are you?
There's the unmistakable voice of.
Right? You're the yes. It is the way to go, right?
He can't be certain.
Yes.
He can't be certain. Hey, Ned,
well, that's the thing.
Are you certain about this?
I had to.
You had to. You had no choice on that one. That was mandatory.
Well, my only argument is based on misreading things.
What, Ned? Sorry, I got hookers in the brain.
My only argument is based on misreading things, so this should be interesting.
Wait, I just got a question for you. Have you heard of simulation theory before today?
You can't be certain.
I have, actually. Just give me a moment. Gotta switch to a better headset.
Okay. What kind of dumpster fire is this going to be?
Who's the other one, David?
Okay.
Sandring's there if he wants to do it.
Mic check 1, 2. Can you hear me?
Absolutely.
It doesn't sound like we're gonna get anybody to come in and
wait. No
do
clip.
this,
no clip.
No clip. Okay.
Speak of the devil.
Hola, señor.
Hola, ¿cómo estás, mi amigo? Yo tengo un gato en mi pantalones.
Okay,
Sorry,
so we got our
still in
two
Spanish class.
We've got our two people in. We've got Uncle Ned, and who is our other debater?
No clip.
No clip. No clip. I am fascinated by why people choose the names that they do, and my brain is just way too curious to not ask, where did No Clip come from?
No clip is a video game reference.
Yeah, I got that right away.
Yeah, no clipping means that you can go through walls and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Like fly mode. Yeah, that's no clip.
Yeah, that's the one.
Kyle's not much of a gamer.
Okay. I'm not, but I'll take your word for it. Okay, so 3 minutes on the clock. We'll start with Uncle Ned. Uncle Ned, you will, if you're certain, of course, if you will please tell us why we are living in a simulation, and then we will go to No Clip for the rebuttal. And your 3 minutes starts now, Uncle Ned.
All right. So, simulation theory is basically, as far as I can tell, derived from the Matrix, in that we live in some simulation for some nefarious purpose. Basically, it's like a technological god. But the reason that I actually believe in it is because, well, honestly, it would be interesting to see the masters of the simulation if it is the case, because can you imagine how advanced their technology would be? I mean, look at how much we know about the universe. They programmed all of that in. They had to. So that would be pretty awesome. Personally, I'm not entirely convinced on it, but I have a theory that whenever you misread something, it's just a simulation buffering the nearest word while it finds the right one. Something like that anyway. And that's about it for my opening statement.
Okay, No Clip. Whenever you're ready, sir.
Let's see here. I think in order for us to be living in a simulation, there would have to be some advanced civilization that has the processing power to not only simulate the vastness of the universe, but things like quantum mechanics, which from what I've heard, you can't really simulate because of its random nature. I don't know. I just feel like there's not really any evidence for it. Not that I can find. There's there's no real evidence for it that supports it, other than people's beliefs that they have about it. But I think there's really not a whole lot about it that I can think of. It's just there's no real supporting evidence for it, and
okay,
I think that's about it.
I tell you what we'll do. Steve and I will kind of come in and ask you guys questions and see how you respond to those.
Yeah.
I'll start with Ned. Uncle Ned, if we are living in a simulation, what would be the circumstances under which we would be? What would be the simulation that the program is running for? What are we trying to fix?
Honestly, that is the ultimate unknown. I mean, we could just be some kind of basement hacker sim just for the heck of it, for all we know.
Okay, so no rhyme or reason. Okay, Steve?
Let's kind of dive into what it is first, so we can kind of bring them together on the topic. First of all, simulation theory is not for nefarious purposes. It's actually based upon postulates for a civilization to be running a historical record of their lineage that we may be a part of some way. So I'm just going to I'm going to ask you the postulates, and you guys tell me what you think of the postulates, maybe, because that's what simulation theory is. And I'm going to go right off Wiki, because just for simplicity, so if you want to go to Wiki, it's fine. But basically, the way it's described in Wiki was that Nick Bromstrom came up with these 3 postulates. It actually has 4 there, but technically, I think 3, but they have 4 on Wiki. I'm going to go with 3. It is 3, but Wiki has 4. I'm just going to go with that for right now. But one of them has to be true. One of these premises has to be true. So how about we just ask them the premises, and then they can talk about that. Want to do that?
Sure.
All right. So premise 1: human civilizations. Okay, so human civilization or a comparable civilization is unlikely to reach a level of technological maturity capable of producing simulated realities, or such simulations are physically impossible to construct. So in other words, the question would be, given enough time, is it possible for a society, given enough power, because like somebody pointed out, computer power, for them to produce a simulated reality? Is that possible?
Well, again, given enough time, it's more than possible. I mean, look at how video games were back in the 70s compared to how they are now. That is massive leaps and bounds in computing technology in just 30 years. 40, not 30. Ugh.
Well, I feel like there is a limit to the computational power that you can achieve. Moore's law, all these things play into it. There has to be a limit, and I'm pretty sure that to simulate an entire
that
universe...
Moore's law is actually about the doubling of the number of transistors on the chip, right?
Uncle Ned, you gotta let him finish out his thought. Everybody knows this is my one pet peeve when people talk over each other, because the audience can't understand when it's all garbled and jumping over each other. We'll give you the opportunity to respond in as much time as you need, but let each person get out their thought first. Cool?
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, like, Moore's law, it does refer to the doubling of the number of transistors, but that also kind of correlates with the computational power, at least with modern day computer technology. I don't really know what computer technology might be invented. Like, there's quantum computers, but at this point they're fairly limited in what they can do. And I'm gonna say that if you gave it enough time, you might be able to make something similar or close to a simulation that is indistinguishable from being fake or not.
Okay, Uncle Ned, did you want to touch on that?
Well, certainly, because again, how video games are advanced between the 70s, where we had these pixel simple soundtracks and graphics and that kind of thing, to today's virtual realities, which could have been unprecedented just 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but so I feel like there's still a limit to. It's not like it's just going to keep doubling and getting faster and faster forever. There's got to be some physical limit, where you just can't. I mean, they're already starting to plateau in terms of processing power in modern CPUs. If you look at CPUs over the last couple of years, they've kind of plateaued out almost in terms of their processing power. So we're kind of already reaching the limit of Moore's law. And I don't see. I mean, I'll give it to you that maybe there's some future computing technology, but at least from what we have today, I don't think you could do it.
Okay, so this would be number 2, and it says that
before we get to the number 2, we got to add a lot of this is based upon the fact that they expect to have quantum computers and huge computers, maybe even using Dyson spheres. That level of technology, level, what is it, 2 civilization? I don't remember.
Oh, but, Dyson spheres.
That'd be awesome, right? Seriously. But so they're talking about very high level technology of a computer of a super massive size, something on the lines of like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the Earth is a computer, that kind of stuff, quantum level. Yeah. So with that kind of processing power, you could have pretty good virtual reality. But anyways,
yeah, that's why I said that with some future technology you could probably do it, just not I don't think with modern sort of technology.
Computer.
So.
Well, again, this is a super futuristic, civilization, well advanced of us. Yeah. Okay.
Number 2 says that a comparable civilization reaching the aforementioned technological status will likely not produce a significant number of simulated realities, one that might push the probable existence of digital entities beyond the probable number of real entities in a universe, for any of a number of reasons, such as diversion of computational processing power for other tasks, ethical considerations of holding entities captive and simulated realities, etc. So basically what they're saying there is, if we did get to the point where we could make simulated realities, we wouldn't because of the ethical reasons, because we would know that there would be actual things in there that would feel pain, etc. And so for ethical reasons, we would choose not to run a simulation.
Yeah, I feel like not necessarily. I feel like there would still be people who would do it, even though they know that it's might not be the most ethical thing to do, unless there's like a government that passes laws against you can't run these simulations. I feel like they might still do it.
And how do we know that they didn't program that in? How do we know they didn't program in those ethical concerns for our consideration, but they don't have the same values of ethics that we do?
Yeah, so it could be that they don't really find it to be an issue because they're not the same. They're probably not the same. If it is real, they're probably not the same as us.
Yeah, the way that I would answer this question is, of course, they would still run the simulations, even if you had a treaty or something that was made between governments like we do now in a lot of cases. You'd still have a rogue nation that would either secretly be doing it or in straight defiance doing it for their own benefit. They're going to obviously choose whatever's going to benefit them most. So if that running a simulation would benefit them in some way, you better believe that they're going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, we have North Korea with nuclear missiles. We have Asgardia with claiming territory in space. It's happening all over.
Yeah, I feel like, again, they would probably end up doing it if the benefits outweigh the negatives.
Real quick, Steve, 0132132. The answer is 4. Okay, you can go ahead and.
No, I asked. I asked the question. The answer to life, to universe, and everything is 42. But you know how many people know the question? Very few people know the question. There is actually a question in this. Does anybody know what the actual question was? If you've seen the movies or read the books, because I've read them all. There's actually a question. The answer to life, to universe, and everything is 42. But can one person tell me what the question is?
How many roads must a man walk down before you can call him a man?
No, we're going to leave it open.
At what age will I officially give up on my youth?
A second before you die.
42.
42.
That's pretty old.
That's pretty. No, thanks. No, so far as nobody's got it right. So we're gonna leave that hanging to the very end if nobody gets it right. But anyways, I want to go into the third one.
Yep.
So long, and thanks for all the.
Okay. I love yeah, dude, I love all those books. Okay, number 3, and again, I always thought there was 3, but I guess they have it 4 here. But the third postulate: any entities with our general set of experiences are almost certainly living in a simulation. Now, I'm not quite sure why they postulate that one. I mean, why is
that's a weird one.
That doesn't.
They ask that weird though,
like,
because what I usually hear it at, the way I usually hear it asked is that third one is once a civilization is at the technological advancement that they can run a simulation, the odds are probable that you are in a simulation. Meaning, once we get to the point where we can run a simulation, it's likely that we are in one.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that's the way they're looking at it as well.
And yeah, it could be that some other civilization out there has reached that number, and the Big Bang was really just the start of the simulation.
Oh, okay. How would you respond to that in a clip?
Yeah, I feel like if Yeah, I can see what he's saying about that. What's the third postulate again?
It's that once we get to the point where we have the technology to run a simulation, odds are that we are in one. And the reason for that is because if society gets to where we have the capability to actually run simulations, it would make sense that we are then running simulations for whatever reason. It could be to see how long we have before the sun, swallows up the Earth, or we have a cataclysmic event on planet Earth, the overpopulation. There's a wide range of situations that they would run a simulation for. But once we got to the point where we could do that, it would make sense that we might be part of that then.
It's kind of like the if we ever invent time travel in the future, then it's likely that someone from the future will come back to the past or something like that.
Right, exactly.
I mean, I guess,
and that's one of the arguments against time travel, because we haven't had any time travelers, right? If time travel exists, somebody would have come back by now.
Well, how about this? As soon as someone has the ability to create simulations that are as realistic as our reality, then I'll give that consideration.
Have you seen VR porn?
There's just
if not,
or should I say AR?
We can call Mercedes. She can give you some recommendations. Sure,
there's a lot of when you stop and think about it, and we'll go into this deeper tomorrow. So make sure you check out that show tomorrow. But there's a fascinating point that they bring up in terms of kind of like your computer, right, or a game. If the computer is overloaded, right, and it's trying to keep up with your game, you get that kind of skip in your graphics. That kind of jittering.
It's a frame
thing.
Drop.
Right.
The graphics card starts skipping frames.
Sorry to interrupt, but I just got to step out for a couple of minutes to handle some things. I'll be right back.
A black hole. Oh, we're getting ready to close out this anyway, Ned.
Thanks, Ned. Thanks. What did you say, Kyle? Because I wanted to hear that, but Ned walked out.
They compare that to what we see in the universe as black holes, that it's everything out, and it causes that kind of skipping. So what they're doing basically is they're drawing a comparison between events that we see in the real world and comparing it to what we expect to see in like technology, buffering, those sort of things. There was a video that I saw yesterday of a example of if you do not either stand out, if you're just like a normal individual on planet Earth, very average, and you don't do anything that's outside of the norm, or you don't try to like be the center of attention or do something really cool to get notoriety, they were drawing the comparison that you don't get as much resolution.
Resolution. Oh, that's good. That's good, actually.
I think I know.
Like Mr. Atheist, right? He's just kind of there, so they don't give him much resolution. I'm kidding, Jimmy. I love you. Jimmy stands out. If anybody stands out, it's Jimmy. That's for damn sure.
That's true. That's true.
He gets a lot of processing and resolution time.
Go ahead.
I have a thought that's similar to that. It's I've heard this. I saw this in a TV show where basically if your computer isn't fast enough to run the simulation at real time, then you simply lower the time steps in the simulation so that your computer can keep up with it. But the things living in the simulation, since they're stuck in that time frame, they don't know that time is going slower. And so you're able to get away with more complicated simulations.
Like a time compression kind of thing. And by the way, I have a different approach. I would think the glitches are the Mandela effect. There you go.
Ooh. But
there you go. Mandela effect are the glitches. It was goddamn Luke. I am your father, Luke. No, I am your father, Luke. That's what it was. Actually, it wasn't. But
anyway,
I'm sorry. What does Nelson Mandela have to do with any of this?
Someone just
the Mandela effect
donated something.
500 yen.
Oh,
so sweet. I read a book once called Permutation City, and they were talking about this very time thing. Basically, the way it worked is if you were gonna die, you could get a brain scan, and that brain scan could then be ran as a copy in a virtual reality, in like a virtual environment. Everything. You were just a program running in a computer. but time outside passed far more fast than it did inside. So you had to be extremely rich and extremely stable to do this, because the program owned all your assets, but they would get spent to maintain you faster than usual. It was really interesting.
Yeah,
and
it was. Thing.
It really was no, I am your father. But I remember kind of as was it Luke, I am your father, but it was no, I am your father. Either way, this Mandela effect's bullshit, but whatever.
Go ahead, No Clip. We're gonna let No Clip have the last word. Say thank you and goodbye to you, fine fellas, and get ready for round 2. So go ahead, No Clip.
Oh Lord, I think I just forgot what I was gonna say.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, I'm tired. It's fine.
Okay. That's okay. Wrap it up and put your thoughts out there. I mean, we kind of explained to people what it is, so at least they have some kind of understanding going in tomorrow, because tomorrow we have a big show on this. So we hope people at least know that there's a real reason why we're talking about simulation theory. It's not some crackpot theory. There are some postulates that really go into this and some scientific reasoning. Now, again, I don't think it's a convincing argument at all, but if you actually dive into it, it's not like it's some crackpot thing. Yeah, and so, but I don't believe it. No, neither's.
I think I remember what I was gonna say. So it was about, if you're about to die, you can upload your consciousness or whatever into a computer and, continue living that way. I have a problem with that, because I feel like there's not like there's this part of you that just moves from your body to the simulation. I feel like once you die, that the simulation might have a copy of your brain, but that's not the actual you, and so your actual experience ceases to exist. But that copy of you, which is identical to you,
that was the whole thing. Like there was this huge they were talking about the legalities of it and everything. Like it's a copy.
You really are just really all of your thoughts. Yeah.
I just feel like it would be pointless to do, because from your perspective, you would still be dying, and it would just be a copy of you. So there wouldn't be any real point in doing it, unless you just wanted to have a copy of yourself.
And the copy, here's the funny thing, is they actually had to implement a bailout option, because the copies were just so depressed. They were stuck in this environment, even though they could make it as idyllic as they wanted to, but they were literally divorced from everything they knew, and they all bailed. So they basically self-terminated.
It's an interesting. It's a difficult to navigate, but one that's interesting to talk about nonetheless. But thank you, No Clip and Uncle Ned. We greatly appreciate it. Excellent job.
No worries. And I would just like to quickly say, once you're done watching this, check out the Tom Scott video, Life, the Singularity Ruined by Lawyers.
Okay.
There you go. There you go. All right. Thanks, Uncle Ned. Thanks, No Clip. We'll say goodbye to you, gentlemen, and then get ready to spin one more time. So people get ready. And
see ya.
See ya. Steve, I think we should just go ahead and do the Mac Daddy. Just throw it out there.
The white privilege thing?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Override. Let's do it. I mean, I don't like getting into the white, the whole race thing. You guys know that, but this is a topic I do think can be discussed. And I put it out there. I think white privilege is a thing. I see that there is something called that thing. But if people want to debate it, I'm willing to have them come in and do it, and that could lead to a huge dumpster fire. But
it's heavily requested, so I say we do it. We've never shied away from controversy before, so let's find out if white privilege is a thing. So if you think that white privilege is a thing, you can go ahead and start pressing 1 now. If you do not think that white privilege exists, that for some other reason it just comes from somewhere else, please press 2. And you have 3 minutes. And guys will watch the live chat. I was going to say that on the heels of that, it's interesting to think about where to go from here. Okay, so if we're in a simulation, right, and we find out about it, obviously. I mean, as a society now, if we are in a simulation, we have advanced to the point where we could be aware that there's a simulation going on. do you think that if it was confirmed that, and me and Mr. Atheist kind of talked about this on At Homies, but do you think if it was confirmed that we were in fact in a simulation, that it would affect anyone's behavior? Do you think there would be a nihilist point of view that would come about with that? You know, because why bother? We're not really real anyway. Or do you think it would just be something that would? I agree.
Yeah, I don't think it would for most people, right? I mean, even though if that's the case, we still exist in some capacity, in some form. We have thoughts, we have feelings, we have emotions. We are biologically entities of some kind. We have some kind of physical construct. We have lives. Now, granted, each one of us can only know that we exist in our own way, right? We have this limit where we can't get inside somebody's mind. I don't know if Kyle is actually a real sentient being. I go by the premise that he is, because, you know, he's a smart dude. So I can't live my life as if nobody exists. I think that's sort of. I think solipsism is kind of a bizarre position to take. So you can't really function in society being a solipsist. But would it change most people? No. But what I think it would change is this whole theological narrative, because it really does put a damper on a lot of theological positions if we're running in a simulation. Sure. Because that's mentioned in any holy book, right?
But what they would do is, first of all, let me say this. I agree that I don't think it would affect. You'd have some people, obviously, that, because there's always outliers, but for the most part, sure. People's emotions, people's feelings, people's pain, people's happiness, none of that would really change. They would just be aware of a different reality than they had before, and they would, I think, adapt to that like people have in, you know, all kind of situations over our past. But with religion, I don't think that you would, those that genuinely believe it, I don't think would leave it, because it would be spun as our Bible foretold of this day, in which man would try to deceive the world. Whoever the great architect of the simulation is would probably be deemed the Antichrist. This is a complete plot to try to throw off believers and shake their faith. And I don't know if it would have that big of an impact on them.
It's from Satan. And, you know, somebody asked a really good question. Somebody said, what does Kyle's intelligence have to do with, let me finish this real quick. It's a good question, because the way I look at it is this. Kyle's really good at graphics and stuff like that. I do some of the graphics work, but he does all these thumbnails and shit like this that I could never do if my life depended on it. I know I can't do that stuff. So he cannot be from my mind, because I don't have the ability to do that. He has to be some kind of autonomous agent in some regard. So I know he has to exist in some capacity that's external from my mind, because I can't do the things he does. There's no possible way. And he, you know, there's certain things you don't know, and other people know. So I don't think other people are manifestations of your own mind.
Couldn't you like do what I do, and that is that I obviously know all of the science and nuclear fissions, all that stuff. I know all of that. But what I do in order to stay humble is create a partition in which I've convinced myself that I don't know that stuff, but I have instead given that information to you, so that you, by extension of me, know that stuff. And so that's why
there's a theory on that.
I didn't lose it.
There's actually something like that. There's an actual theory on that, dude. It's called called middle knowledge.
Actually, originally it was Kyle's theory of extension of knowledge, but they wanted a cooler name.
Yeah, well, Molinism is the technical name for it, is Molinism. But yeah, that's exactly, there's actually such a thing. But it has to do with the nature of God.
Kyle is this is more appropriate, I think. He says Kyle is a false village idiot. That is actually more accurate to you. Thank you.
That's funny.
And Mr. Atheist said, if we confirm simulation theory, humans are so stupid they would start worshiping the coders. Even the coders would never even notice. Yeah, that's certainly.
I think that would be possible.
Likely too.
Imagine 10,000 years from now, Kyle. Imagine we know we're in a simulation theory. Thousands of years from now, that's exactly probably the way it would be, would it not?
I worship the Wi-Fi gods. I worship the Wi-Fi gods, because without them, my life would be non-existent. So, yes, I can totally see people praising code. I think we have a debate, though. I believe that we have a debate. So, Dave, who do we have coming in to talk about white privilege?
Dave?
We are just sorting that out right now. We got somebody who's anybody else wants to get in there. If they wait in the waiting room in the Discord, it's much better because we can pick from people we know are online.
Who do we have?
Somebody had asked me.
Hold on one second. Do we have somebody that's for it or against it right now?
I'm just trying to find that out. One sec.
Okay. Real quick, somebody had asked me what is white privilege, and I don't want to really get into it before they have a discussion because I want to see if they, what they know about it, and then obviously afterwards, I'll tell you why I think there's a white privilege kind of thing and what it means to me when people say white privilege. But I don't want to skew them. I want to hear what they have to say.
I know I saw JMD Apologetics. He was voting to.
Excuse me. Oh yeah. I know JMD, but I don't know what site he falls on. I think he falls on there isn't, but I don't want to put words in his mouth.
Yes, he does. That's how he voted.
So this guy says that who are we having right now voting yes?
I don't know. Where are we at with that, Dave?
Yeah, let's get JMD on here because he really wanted this.
Who wanted this?
JMD Apologetics.
JMD.
Well, if he can get into the Discord, he can. Which side does he want?
He's voting that there is that there's not. That there's not.
Right.
Not. We need that. So if he can get into the Discord, then
he's listening.
Okay. Who do we have for that? That it is a thing.
Right now, it's just we only got Look-a-Pig because everybody else seems to have a really big problem, even though they're in Discord. Actually clicking on the debate roulette waiting room voice chat.
Yeah, and the Discord is in the video description, guys. But I'm giving it to JMD right now. So there you go, JMD. You can't say you don't have it.
And if you want to come, if you have the means to get the link from us, and come in on VMix too.
Yeah,
boy, people only knew how many moving parts are in this stuff.
Jimmy, Mr. Atheist did send a super chat, so if he wants to come in for there is white privilege, he gets first dibs on that because he did send in a super chat.
Wow, that could lead to a huge fire.
Mr. Atheist, if you are listening, then that spot is yours since you did send in a super chat.
Get your ass in here, man. Let's do it.
Well, according to our audience, no, JMD is voting that there is not white privilege. I believe, with our audience thinks that Mr. Atheist is an SJW. I'm going to say that he does believe that white privilege is a thing.
Yeah, no, he does. I'm pretty damn sure.
So is he taking the yes side? Is that what I heard?
Fuck you, like
Jimmy's taking yes. Yeah, Jimmy's taking yes. JMD's taking.
So the pro is going to be Mr. Atheist.
Yep.
Okay. He needs to give him a link.
Cool. All right. So we've got JMD and waiting to hear back from MA. This will be fun.
Yeah,
I'm actually getting that feeling in the pit of my stomach, like I do when we either have Flat Earth or Aaron Ross on. Like, oh, something bad's about to happen, and I can't wait. By the way, I was supposed to get it out this past weekend, but with the wreck and all, it kind of pushed me back. Hold on one second, Dave. Well, go ahead. Did you need to say something about the people coming in?
Maybe we could just pass JMD VMix link.
He's in there.
Oh no, I got them. Okay, perfect. Never mind.
Okay.
They are coming in.
All right, so Mr. Atheist, I don't think is going to actually come in. He says he's good.
Okay, then okay, well.
So then we get another one.
Okay. Okay.
Anyone hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, there you are. Well, I mean, in that case, X is the other person who's here.
Jimmy has a point. He says, "I don't need any more NSS fans trolling my page, calling me an SJW."
I saw that.
Fair point,
man. Get in here.
I'll give you that, my friend. I'll give you that. Fair point.
So I guess we're getting 666 then.
Sure. That works.
Man.
Jimmy may have a horrible man bun.
Yeah, dude, we can hear you.
This past weekend, I was supposed to get the video out with Logic, Aaron, Rags, Bionic Dance, Christian's Cat, Vadim, Shannon. There's so many people I'm trying to think. Mr. Atheist, Prophet of Zod. Yeah, Prophet of Zod. There's a Godless Engineer. There is a who's who of YouTube skeptics and atheists, and we put together a really cool video. But what I noticed once I finally got done with it is that it was about 27 minutes long, and I think that is lengthy for a one video upload. So what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to break it up into two parts. I'm going to do a part 1 and a part 2. Part 1 will be out tomorrow morning, and then you can look for part 2 on Wednesday. And I'm going to split it up that way, so it'll be about 12 minutes.
Somebody else was supposed to have a video come out today too, weren't they, Kyle? With us
tomorrow.
They're here.
Oh,
tomorrow.
Every day is
okay.
like tomorrow.
It builds up the anticipation. That way, when it comes out, you like it more. Okay, so who do we have with us? We have JMD Apologetics. By the way, anything that you would like to say about the response video that you did on the 7 signs you're going to be an atheist?
I do most of those things. I'm not an atheist yet, so. But if people want to see it, it's on my channel. It should be the first video that comes up if you're a new visitor.
Cool. And if it's linked to the video. That's the 7 signs you're going to be an atheist on our channel. I don't know if Jimmy linked it yet, but if you want to check that out, the response is actually linked into the that video. And then on the what is that, 666? Is that what that says?
Yeah. What's up?
What's up?
Yes.
Okay.
Is this a Hail Satan moment?
We have an apology.
Oh no, it's like an edgy kind of name for my music thing because I just thought it'd be edgy, but nah. Yeah, I don't rock with Satan. I don't rock with God. I don't believe in none of that stuff.
How about heavy metal, rock and roll?
Oh, dude, I love it, man. I started off playing heavy metal. I had like this stepdad. He's in like 80s stuff, and so learned a lot of like Van Halen, like drums and stuff. Then I was like, man, I need to get on some guitar stuff. So I started doing guitar, and then I don't know, I just started getting into like real heavy stuff.
Now, Steve, yeah. you can't do.
Yeah,
Steve, you can't make hand signals like that because as well as I do that now that somewhere in the universe triggered Russian vids, and there's going to be 4 videos on you, and while you're connected to the Illuminati because you held up the devil.
I'm happy for that. Go for it.
I wore a shirt, a V-neck shirt with eagles up on the the chest right here, and I had a 45-second long video on why I was the Illuminati because the eagles matched the same eagles that the Grand Wizard or whoever. Anyway, speaking of Grand Wizards, let's talk about white privilege.
That's a good segue. That was good.
Is it a thing?
Yeah.
And we will
Why you do that? I'm gonna play guitar for these people. It's muted.
We will start with Vice City, Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Please stop. I'm about to look. I'm about to take your cartridge out and blow in it and put it back in and see if it works better. Nobody got that reference. Moving on. Okay.
I was born in the 70s. Dude, I tell you, dude, I've had Nintendo. Okay, I know that word, and Atari.
666. We're gonna start with you. Is white privilege a thing, and if so, why?
It's totally a thing. I grew up. My dad worked for like this pharmaceutical company, like editing videos and stuff, and his parents paid for him. Well, they didn't pay for him to go to college, but he was raised pretty wealthy. Like they own car dealerships and stuff like that. And he always had to like make his own and like, you know, make his own way, but they totally supported him and helped him. And if it wasn't for the connections that they had and just being brought up in that lifestyle, then, you know, I don't think that he probably would have been positioned in such a way to where he'd have been able to provide for us the way he did. But anyways, my point being is that I grew up pretty wealthy, like Kansas City, you know, is nice. You know, I didn't have any complaints. And then we moved to Arkansas, and he was working for ESPN2, doing stuff for like hunting and fishing and stuff like that. And so I got to experience all this video editing stuff and like, I don't know, just kind of growing up doing all this cool stuff. My parents split. My mom got hooked up with some dude in the Air Force. Real cool dude. Taught me how to play music. Taught me how to like do all this shit. We moved a bunch of different places. I got to live in South Georgia, New Mexico, all over the place. And so I feel like that I wouldn't have been able to experience all those different places. And by the way, living in New Mexico is the first time I ever experienced like being a minority, because I like went to a straight inner city school. Not that I had any problem with it or anything. I ended up living with like this Spanish family with my buddy John for like an entire year. It was real awesome, real cultural, like cultural expansion almost. But at the same time, I feel like if I would have been black or any other color, like moving to all these different places, you definitely get treated different. And you know, I know that I have, you know, I'm treated a certain way, and I know that other people of different colors, you know, they're not really given that same pass, so to speak.
Okay. And that's a good point, guys. You don't have to use your entire time if you don't want to. Just tell me when you're done, and we'll restart the clock. Don't feel like you have to go that entire 3 minutes if you don't have anything. All right, JMD.
Right on.
JMD, is white privilege a thing?
Privilege is a thing. I don't think it's like, obviously in some areas, I think it depends on geography where it's a privilege. Like perhaps in Kansas where he was talking about, I wouldn't know because I'm not there. But I'll tell you where I grew up. You have to survive on your own a little bit and independent of color. But I'll give my anecdotal story of my life, and then I have some other arguments and so on. Generally speaking, my parents have been divorced, so that's not fun. I mean, it's not good for mental health. It's not good for. It's not a very helpful thing at all, and it just causes so much stress and so on. So and that's independent of any color of skin, in my opinion. Family who gets divorced and independent of skin, that's not a privilege. And of course, in America, I show that we have a lot of divorce rates, which are privilege, in my opinion. And all races, of course, have these divorces going on. Speaking from my experience, people are shitty to each other, independent of, you know, the color of your skin or whatnot. But aside from anecdotal evidence, you know, I can send these statistics in. White males, I don't know, looks like about 15 out of 100,000 people have, you know, the high suicide rates. And then the lowest would be Asian. So it would be Asian privilege by the logic we're going here. Then drug overdoses, it's also male. So if you want to say that's a thing, but females die less from drugs and stuff like that. I don't have anything on, you know, skin color or whatnot, but again, it doesn't matter in my opinion. Then for shootings, it's actually, and I get that's very controversial, but I have the statistics for that as well, and these are unbiased sources, at least what I can tell. Then in our military, mostly it's, and for a definition of white privilege and rebuttals or whatnot, but in the military, generally speaking, how am I doing on time? Am I at like a minute?
45 seconds.
It's off on here, but in the military, generally speaking, you have more whites fighting for America's privilege, because I think America, you have freedom of speech, you have, you know, the Bill of Rights, while other countries in here basically, or however you would say that, do not have these privileges, and there are many different races besides so on. So I think, generally speaking, in Western society, you have privilege, not necessarily the color of your skin. That's a factor, but geography, in my opinion. So that's what I got.
Okay. We'll go into 2 5-minute rounds, and then after this, we will open up for a back and forth between the two of you. Again, you don't have to use up the entire 5 minutes. If you just want to hit the points and then be done, that's cool too. 666, how would you respond to what JMD just said?
I would like to touch on the military thing. I served from 2011 to 2014, and I was with the 82nd out there at Fort Bragg. I was with the 4th BCT. I was an artillery cat, or at least that's what I went in to do. And I ended up getting deployed like 2 months out of AIT to Afghanistan. And, you know, they don't really use artillery because like it blows a lot of people up, and they weren't really trying to like get the casualties and stuff, right? So they put me with the infantry dudes with the 2508, and I was a minesweeper. And so I kind of just had my whole entire world turned upside down. And I would say that there's probably a disproportionate amount of white people serving the country, but at the same time, like in all the support jobs and stuff like that, you know, you had every race. You know, it just wasn't just you know, it wasn't just people that weren't white. And you know, I had like African American people, Spanish people, Indian people from all walks of life, you know. And those were the infantry dudes, and those were the dudes that were like down in the shit with me, right? And so I don't really like think that it's just white people putting their lives on the line.
I didn't say that, but
well, no. I mean, that's not what you said, but I just wanted to specify that, like, you know, there's plenty of people that are serving their due diligence that are in the military, but I also understand what you're saying, because there's a lot of like a lot of cooks and stuff like that, and a lot of the support people. But then again, there's a lot more support people than there are people that are actually like have jobs where they're fighting and doing stuff like that. But anyways, white privilege is more of a thing that like you can only really experience if you've ever seen just people have been treated like shit because of their race, you know? I mean, I've never had anyone treat me any kind of ill way because of you know, because I'm white or anything like that. And it's just like when people are making jokes, you know, they're typically not jokes about white people and stuff like that. I've lived all over the place, and it just seems like or here, let me put it like this. Whenever we moved to Arkansas, my parents were looking for a house, right? And the realtor, you know, she told them, she's like, you guys probably don't want to look in this area. And she kind of pointed out that, you know, it was more multicultural here. And, you know, just for that to even be a thing, you know, just even be a thing that happens. And I think it happens on the sly a lot. And I know that it like you can boil it down to the thing where people walk into a gas station, you know. If I walk into a gas station with my buddies late at night, and you know, we go to get something and there's some old lady there, she's probably not going to feel threatened or anything like that. But if, you know, people of any other kind of culture or skin color walk in there, then for whatever reason, chances are this lady's going to trip out a little bit more or something like that. And, you know, just for that to even be a thing that happens, for that to even be like a way people think. And it's almost unsung, but it is there. And, you know, I don't have any statistical evidence or anything like that, but I think I've experienced a lot of culture, you know, a lot of different places from the South to the North, the Midwest especially, you know. I've lived a lot of places, and I've known a lot of people from a lot of walks of life. What I didn't touch on before is after my parents split and everything, you know, we all just kind of lost all the money and all that. And so that's why I kind of joined the military and, you know, kind of had to go off and do my own thing. But yeah, you definitely, I think that I might have it a little bit easier. But yeah, that's all I have to say about it.
All right. Thank you for your service, by the way.
Thank you for your service, man.
No, not a problem, man.
Say, well, we can do that in the back and forth and so on. Generally speaking, I don't deny that. I think racism is one of the most irrational acts. I mean, to judge someone based on the color of their skin is literally a ad hominem fallacy and so on, and you can't really make based on that. I say you judge people based on their actions, and what I've experienced and so on. People, skin color, at least for me, and this would be more anecdotal, but you know, people treat each other like shit no matter what. So you have acts of racism, but it's not necessarily just why to, you know, go through this as well and stuff like that. But ultimately, it depends on or where you're at, the geography. It depends on the situation, because obviously you have acts of racism in America, but you have acts of racism everywhere in every race and so on. Seem like a white issue to me. That's
JMD.
I ended.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Just making sure. Okay, so what I'm going to do before we open it up for the 10-minute discussion round is I'm going to have Steve kind of briefly summarize what a white privilege would entail, to kind of give a few talking points, because I think there might be a little bit of murkiness with mixing in class privilege, and that's something that's an entirely different issue. So I'm going to let him kind of touch on some things that white privilege would entail, and then that might give you a starting off point for us to really dive into what that is as a whole.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. There seems to be some conflation of class privilege or white privilege. Let me kind of explain to you how I would relate white privilege. Okay, white privilege would be a situation where me and a friend of mine who happens to be black are walking down a neighborhood like in Beverly Hills, and a cop car is traveling along, and he sees both of us. I happen to have to go one way. My friend happens to go the other way. Statistically speaking, it's far more likely that the cop car is going to go the direction of the black guy rather than me. That's white privilege. That means it's nothing I have to do. I don't even have to be aware of the situation. It's just the fact of my skin color. In certain places, you're more likely to be less judged than somebody else, because we know that blacks do get pulled over with a higher percentage. They do get convicted more often for petty crimes. These are things I completely believe are truisms. But historically, there has been a systemic racism that is in our system that police and I'm not dogging on the police. I have the utmost respect for the police, but it is a reality that they are more likely to racially profile a black person as somebody who's more likely to commit a crime than a white person, with no input from me. Right? We wouldn't even have to know that the cop car is behind us. But that's how I look at white privilege. So in that vein, why don't you guys take it from there and tell me if that is something that you think does exist or does not exist?
We'll start with you.
To me, it just sounds like you're just. Oh, okay.
That, I mean, yeah, that absolutely exists. That's what I was touching on whenever I was talking about, you know, if about the people walking into the gas station, because who's gonna feel more? You know, why would that lady feel any more threatened? It's because of what has been driven into her head. Like, historically in America, and I guess, you know, I'm assuming everyone here is in America, or at least North America. And
you nationalist, you making assumptions we're all Americans. We got Europeans that follow us. Canadians too. Fuck the Canadians, but we got a few of them.
Well, everybody in the debate.
Fuck the Canadians too.
Yeah, they do have wobbly heads.
They can't pronounce garage either with a damn.
But I lost my train of thought.
We're Americans.
Yeah, America,
okay.
Historically, all kinds of stuff has been put on people of culture. You know, I mean, look at like outlawing marijuana. You know, doing all kinds of this stuff with the drugs, and it's all just been beaten into people's heads over the years. And you know, white privilege is this. My mom, whenever we were living in Louisiana, I got out of the military. My mom worked at this nursing home, and there was a black lady that worked at the nursing home as well. And my mom, being from the North, you know, pretty liberal, you know, I grew up, and there was a multicultural group of people in my like third grade photo, right? And I could tell you there's a lot of people whose third grade photos are all white, and especially in Louisiana. And anyways, my mom, you know, she was very liberal with how she thinks about stuff, and she didn't think anything of it. And she asked this black lady at her nursing home she worked at. She's like, "You want to go out to a bar later tonight?" And the lady says, "I can't go to that bar," because my mom named some bar. She says, "I can't go there." My mom looks at her. She says, "Why?" And she says, "You know, my kind aren't welcome there." And that's in 2015. You know, that is white privilege. You know, that a black lady can't go to a bar with a white lady without someone saying something, or you know, the fact that she would even feel she'd feel threatened or she'd feel excluded. White people, you know, don't have to deal with that shit. I mean, to a certain extent, where like if you put yourself into a culturally different scenario, like if you go to Chinatown or something like that, or you're to go to a place where you know you're 100% gonna be not, you know, you're gonna stand out in a crowd. You know, of course, you should expect to be treated differently. But
sure,
if you're an American, you know, you shouldn't feel one way or the other about someone because of how they look. And that is just the thing, you know. And white privilege.
Let me break in and well, just let me break in just a second because we got to get MD here because we've already run down about 4 minutes. So I want to make sure he gets in here to hit on a couple of those points before we lose some of what you said. So JMD, do you want to go ahead and get in and talk to some of what he or Steve has said?
Describing geographical areas in which people are racist. It's not a universal thing with all white people. That to me is just a big claim that you can't prove. At the same time, I agree that it's wrong to judge someone based on the color of their skin. I mean, there's no disagreement there. And I thought I was going and thinking it had to do with class and so on. Now, I'm not convinced it's on a class level, but I'll agree in certain geographical areas, it's definitely. I'll tell you, for me personally, in certain areas, I don't trust anyone because the statistics shows that in the areas where I'm at, crime happens more, and it's not just blacks, whites, it's all sorts of people, and of the color of their skin. And I think history shows that. I think statistics nowadays show that, and that's ultimately my premise. It's just not. But at the end of the day, I think if you're in America, you're privileged in general. Of course, in certain areas, you're not. And again, I think it depends on the geography and the situation of the circumstance and so on.
Okay, 666.
I don't think white privilege is as analytical as you're making it. I don't. you know, you have to be able to feel it. You have to be able to understand. You have to be objective. You have to be able to almost see it from the other side to look at yourself as to look outside the white culture and look in, you know.
Where I'm at now and where I grew up, it's not white culture, so I'll say that right now. Well, like there's so many crimes committed, independent of, again, color of skin. In class, I'm not convinced that it's a thing, but I guess in certain areas and so on, also you're going to have racism and stuff like that.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this though. With the example that Steve gave about if you were to break away, if you're walking with somebody of an African American race, do you acknowledge that that exists and that would be considered white privilege, JMD?
Just be racism on the I think it would just be racism on the police officers' part. Not I don't think you should hold the white person accountable. You hold the person who is racist. I mean that's my opinion.
Well, I don't think he's saying that it wouldn't be an overt version of racism. You know what I mean? It would be something that because of either the the stereotypes in somebody growing up, or the person wouldn't have to be a racist to necessarily do that. It's just a thing that either they learn from whether they were, who they trained with, just little social cues like that they pick up on.
Well, again, it would depend on the person and what they experienced in the past and so on.
Well, but let me ask you this: Do you
what they hear about? So, oh, good.
The instance I gave. Okay. Do you think that those things happen? Do you think? I mean, given that hypothetical, under those circumstances, what do you think the cop is more likely to do? Because if you answer that he's more likely to go to the black, then you have to agree there's white privilege. Would you not?
Again, it depends on the officer and so on. And I have, statistics that can possibly show otherwise, but hypothetically speaking, statistic that says generally speaking, cops go more towards blacks and whites. Again, it would statistics who would commit more crimes, and then it would have to go from there, I think. But again, even then, based on the color of their skin, it's just a racist act, independent of how many people commit crime and so on.
Okay, 666.
But that by definition is racial profiling, though. You can't get around that, right?
Yeah, I agree that they're racist police officers and so on. I mean I completely agree.
And I don't think that we need to I don't think you can lump white privilege and racism as the same thing either. I think they're two separate. Right. You cannot be racist and still do things that would incorporate aspects of what people would consider to be white privilege.
That's what I was trying to explain earlier whenever I was saying that because of my dad's upbringing, and I didn't mean classism. I wasn't saying because he had the money. I'm saying because, well, first of all, money makes money, and if you start with
money, that seems to be privileged and so on.
Yeah, I mean,
again, it depends on the family.
You are privileged, and historically in America, who has had money? And so wouldn't those families, eventually go off and become to be more privileged? Well, the slaves become slaves and eventually become not slaves. But who has the most money? Who has the most privilege? And it's
go ahead.
I view money can be an evil and so on. And I think that's why there's so many suicides and stuff like that. But
I don't think that. I think what you're doing there is you're associating the fact that somebody that has money has a certain level of privilege because of that money, and that too is separate from what we're talking about. We're talking about
not necessarily the money. I mean that if you're gonna go to college, then you have that privilege to go to school, and you get to meet more people, and you get to have more connections, and you get to have a more fruitful life, and because of that, you just have doors open for you. It's not necessarily people aren't being
right. But what this says, where this is different though is this is a something that white privilege is something that it surpasses money, status, any of those things. It can be done on a people who are on the poverty level just as equally as it is with people who are on the the wealthiest people. A point example would be if you're in some backwoods country store, right? And like you see in the movies, The Hills Have Eyes. You know, those old off the road. There's nothing around, and all they're used to seeing is black people, or I mean white people coming around. Then you have a black guy come in, and there's instantly going to be a sort of like a tensing up, and they're gonna watch those people that come in more.
And see, what you just explained is like Louisiana. I mean, I can still picture my stepdad telling us, he's like, I remember the first time we had a black kid in our school, and it's stuff like that exists, and you know, you might call it like local racism or whatever he was saying, but I mean, it just exists all around America. There's not a place that I've lived where, you know, people where people just, they've been treated the same. There's not. I mean, I've never felt like a minority in any school I ever lived in until I went to an inner city school in New Mexico, and even then I didn't feel as ostracized as I know a black kid in Louisiana, being the only black kid in the whole school, is going to feel. Just that in and amongst itself is white privilege. The fact that black people can move to a neighborhood and for whatever reason housing rates go down. For the same example that lady was saying that this is a multicultural neighborhood, and she was giving a heads up to my parents. Stuff like that is real, and you know, I can't make a statistic out of it. All I can do is say that it happens, and
sure,
you know, if that were to happen, you know, what could you call that other than white privilege?
If you want, yeah, my father is getting kicked out, literally getting kicked out of his house, which is not a nice house, by the way. We're both in poverty and we're both white, so I guess in that retrospect, I guess. But
why can you before we sort of wrap this part up and let Steve kind of go into a little bit deeper, why do you think that this to begin with? Why haven't we got to the point where we don't think in those terms? Why is it still a perpetuated narrative that racism is still a thing and that people are still doing this to other people? Do you have any, and this is totally going to be just a personal feeling, but I'm interested to know why you think that's the way it is.
You asked that question, and it's sort of a more simplistic way because it seemed like there's a lot to unpack in there.
Sure.
Like, are you? Oh, yeah, good.
Why are we still talking about racism? Why is it not something that was done away with a long time ago and something that we don't even think about? Like, why is it still a thing? You think?
The thing. The fact that you have cops who would, and I would take Steve's example, the fact that you have cops, racial profiling is an act of racism. I think racism is very much a thing.
Mm-hmm. Why though?
Do you need to know what racism is, or
where does it stem from? Where does racism come from? Why do we have? I mean,
why is it a thing?
I mean, I'll give you my answer after you answer. But what do you think is the main reason why we have racism?
Because people themselves are, first off, irrational if you judge someone based on the color of their skin. That's stupid to me. But at the same time, I just think it's because people are evil and so on.
You guys mind if I chime in?
Please.
Yeah, it's to both of you. So please.
I think it began with like tribalism. And I think that in the most minimalist way possible, people could associate by skin types, you know, so, hey, you don't look like me, you know, that's foreign. And, you know, I think initially people probably, you know, they weren't so excited. It's kind of like that scene from 2001 when the apes see the other apes and they're like, oh shit. And they get in that big ass fight, right? That dude finds that bone and crushes homie's skull. It's like, you know, those apes realized that the other apes, you know, they were different. These apes were wielding tools, but, you know, it turned out bad for them. And I think as soon as people start categorizing, I think that starts drawing a divide. And I think that's where racism comes in, because then people start associating, you know, the cultural differences and stuff with, oh, that's just different than how we do it. We do it better because of some kind of maybe superiority complex or something like that. And I think that superiority, it still goes very strong. And I think it's a very strong divide in people. You know, we're very attached to things that are familiar to us, you know, and I think it's just something we're gonna have to evolve out of. But I think that's why racism is definitely still a thing, because people have this innate need to categorize and boil stuff down to its lowest common denominator, like skin color.
I think
sure.
I think that Morgan Freeman has the best answer to why racism is still a thing, and I'm sure many of you have seen it, but he did an interview with Michael Wallace, I believe, and Michael Wallace was asking, do you celebrate Black History Month? And Morgan Freeman this is paraphrasing, but he basically said he didn't want a Black History Month. And Michael Wallace was shocked by this answer, and he said, well, why? And was like, well, do you, you're Jewish, where's your Jewish history? And Michael Wallace was like, we don't have a Jewish History Month. Where's your white history month? We don't have one of those either. So basically his point is it's still a thing because we still talk about it like it's a thing. And I know that there are still issues that go around it, but as long as we continue to refer to each other, like Morgan Freeman said, he's going to stop referring to Mike Wallace as a white man, and he's going to ask that you stop referring to him as a black man. And those are the little things, the little nuanced things that we do like that. It keeps us separated in that mindset. As long as we continue to group, oh, I have, you know, that's that black guy that was walking down the street. As long as we continue to refer to people that way, instead of saying that guy that was walking down the street, racism will exist because we are purposely taking somebody outside the context of just being a human and putting them in a different category. So that's my theory. Steve?
I would agree with that.
I kind of have a different approach in some ways. So this may take a few to suss out. First of all, I think I have Toth was the word, he used the word fear. And I think that was the word I was thinking of as well when I asked this question. I think people have a fear. And I think that 66, you did hit on a lot of things about tribalism. I think there's a fear of the unknown, fear that, you know, people that are different from us. But I think it's generational. And I think that is passed down generationally because the grandparents that are, you know, racist, they're going to be fostering that narrative into the children. Now, when it comes to like Morgan Freeman, I do agree with him to some extent, but at the same time, I think it's okay to point out differences and celebrate differences. We don't have a homogenous society. We have a mixture of things, and those differences is what makes us a strong society. It's how you point out those differences and the reasons why you point out those differences that matter. And just by celebrating things, look, I tried to explain this last night in Mr. Atheist's Discord, and I'm going to try to explain it to people as well today. There's something called equity. It's not the same as equality, right? People always say we want equal rights, but in the reality, I think they want equity. And what equity means is giving to people what they need in order to have a more like a level playing field. If some people are more downtrodden, they're going to need a little bit more to get to level to be equal to people. If you that's what equity means. And so back in the day, when we had just hardcore legit racism, there needed things like affirmative action. They needed things like trying to get women more into the job fields and the scientific fields. There needed to be programs for them because they didn't have the same equity as a white privileged male. Now, though, they are reaching those same levels. There's some minor discrepancies, but it's a hell of a lot better was than the 60s. Everybody has to admit that. And so Morgan Freeman has a point. When do we stop giving them more equity. If a black man and white man go for a job and they have equal rights or equal opportunity to get it, then we're at the level we need to be at. So do we still need those affirmative action programs? And some people I know think that those affirmative actions programs are racist in some ways, because you're saying, I'm not going to hire you because of your qualifications or your skill. I'm going to hire you based upon your skin color. And most rational people would find that offensive nowadays. But back then, that wasn't offensive because they needed those programs because of the inequality that existed in the system, and they used equitable means to try to get people raised up so they had the same opportunities. So the question now is more, do we still need a lot of those programs? And I do want to add one more thing when it comes to racism. Back in the day, if a white woman was seen with a black man, a white man would be like, hey, you know what is she doing with that black person, right? Pathetic, but it was the way it was back especially in the South, and maybe it still is in a lot of places, right? And we all look at that and go, that's disgusting. But now the narrative has kind of moved on a little bit, where even black women would say, hey, this white woman is taking black men away from our culture. That's just as racist, right? So the sharing of this racism that goes along, it's not just whites, it's not just blacks. And I think if I understand Matt Morgan Freeman right, and I think Kyle's position is probably the same, until we note those differences don't mean anything. We can celebrate the differences, but they don't mean shit from Shineau in the big picture. There will always be some type of racism, and that's what we need to eliminate. It's just we're all the same. So that's my spiel on it.
There's a distinction between the celebrating of different cultures and different people as an individual, and just using it as a descriptive word to categorize them in a certain way. But that was not nearly the dumpster fire I thought it would be. We'll let you guys, I'll give you guys a couple minutes to kind of let everybody know your channels. I know that JMD, you've got a channel. I don't know about you, 666, but if you got anything that you want to plug or social media that you want to put out there so people can follow you, that sort of thing, feel free to do that. And we'll start with JMD.
Yes, I have a YouTube channel called JMD Apologetics 101. I run a website called ChristianTruthThroughApologetics.com. And Instagram at John Dunphy, and Facebook at John Dunphy. Then Twitter at JMD Apologetics 101. And even Tumblr at a Tumblr page for Christian Truth Through Apologetics.
What kind of porn do you specialize in on your Tumblr page?
Wait, there's other porn other than donkey? Really?
I thought that's what Tumblrs were for.
That's all it is for Tumblr.
That's the only thing I've seen Tumblr for. Just joking.
We can ask the best porn on Tumblr.
Just joking, JMD. All right, 666.
Yeah, I don't really have you can go check out some of my music videos and stuff on my page.
There you go.
I don't know. Go check out some of my new grounds. I think all my links.
What's your page?
On my page. Oh yeah, it's 666 the rapper. Or it's actually, I think what you have to type in is Ryan Manuel, because I think that's just what it is and everything.
I want to see 666 the rapper, so I'm writing that down now. Ryan Manuel. 666.
Yeah, and
where are you at? Are you
on
SoundCloud?
Yeah, I'm on SoundCloud as well, and I'm on Instagram as 666 the rapper. And yeah, I do rap music. If you check out my new grounds, I have all my old metal music that I used to do back in the day, and some other shit. And
you want to spit out a freestyle real quick?
Please say yes.
Yeah, I guess I could.
Go for it. You got the floor. Do it, man.
Right
Rock
on. Cool. What should I freestyle about? Y'all got to give me some ideas.
Let's do Steve's beard.
There you go, my goatee. Yeah, freestyle about my goatee.
All right.
This ought to be good. I can't beatbox. If anyone wants to talk to us here, so I'll lay down a beat. Dude, I'm white. I got no rhythm, man. Come on. Was that not racist? But it's true. I play rhythm guitar, and I took music theory. I still suck at rhythm. It's hard.
We can play. We can play one of our original things that we do for the podcast. Let me find that real quick.
That'd be cool.
You guys ever doing triplets? Try doing triplets. They're hard.
It's all gonna be out of sync.
Just gotta find it.
That will be
give me 2 seconds
out of
here.
sync. It has to go through not only my machine, but a virtual machine. So
while you're thinking of a freestyle thing, real quick, I'm gonna put a link in the video description, guys. People have been asking for it before. That's actually me playing the background music to Metallica. I really am playing. Now the song's actually playing in the background and with the vocals and all that. But the most of what you're hearing, the rhythm, that's me playing, and you can tell it's me because I make some mistakes. But it's not perfect. But I haven't played in years. I got my guitar for my birthday from Ruhif, who was nice enough to purchase for me, and I've been trying to practice more. But go check it out. Let me know what you think in the comment section.
Let's see what this one does.
Just save it for later. Bookmark it after this.
Okay. All right. I don't know if you need something peppier or if you can even hear that.
I can hear it, kind of. Oh, here we go.
All right. I think it picks up right here, I believe. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, goatee. Rocking with my goatee. Yeah. Yeah, you really know me. Looking cool in my goatee, got that swag. Don't wanna stop, got my goatee do-rag. Yeah, you don't want this prop, I just want a couple milli. Ooh, if you fucking with me, hey, yeah, you might just kill me. Ooh, you wanna kill me, but you a fucking bitch. Goatee, ooh, slave dragging off my hip, body split. Got my goatee and I rock. All that girl, she want my dick, she want my cock. Yeah, I just put my goatee in a sock. Looking really cool. Ooh, goatee at the school. Goatee on your girl. Goatee in my whirlpool. She be rubbing on my goatee like she really want my nuts. I just put my goatee straight up on her butt. She don't. She. I don't know, man. That's about a goatee, though.
That's fucking. Oh, A+, man. A+, dude. That's.
I think Steve's goatee's been hanging out with Mercedes. It sounds like.
How do I do that? A+. There we go. Yeah. Oh my God, that was brilliant, dude. I'll give you props.
Yeah.
You got.
Good job. Good job, sir.
Yeah.
Good job,
thank you.
Wow, that was awesome.
All right, gentlemen. We will say goodbye to you both. Thank you for coming on and being gentlemen about that conversation and not letting it, unfortunately, go to the dumpster fire realm. Still have not the eighth debate roulette and not a one dumpster fire. Unbelievable.
You know what? We're gonna get where Kyle. I give you my word. We are gonna find something that is going to be a total freaking shit show. Let me work on that.
Unbelievable. So I told you guys that we would spend about 5 minutes answering any questions that you might have for us. If you do have any, if not, then we will see you tomorrow. And tomorrow, while we wait for you guys to put in your questions, if you have any, the guys from What the If podcast, they were with us about a month and a half ago, and we did a show on what the if with flat Earth. So basically, what they do and they specialize in is they take things that are hypothetical or conspiracies, something like that, and we go through every aspect of what life would be in that situation. And it was really cool when we did flat Earth. So I think it'll be phenomenally better with something cool like simulation theory, and that'll be tomorrow at 8 o'clock. So Fox versus CNN. CNN, of course.
The question is, which one is more fake news? I think. Which one's more fake news? Oh, which one's more fake? Fox News or CNN?
Fox
that was
News.
The question.
Fox News. 100%. 100%. Fox News. Why do I wear ties? Really? Three of you are wanting to know why I wear a tie? Yeah, I like ties and vests. And in the wintertime, you're really going to see what my fashion favorite is, because I probably have 64 blazers or sports coats. I wear the hell out of those. So you'll see a different one every night, probably.
I really do. I think, when you feel like when you're in a suit, a 3-piece suit with a vest and, nice tie and you feel good. You really do. So the only reason I don't wear my suits, because I only have a few left, because I moved a lot, but it's so hot here all the fucking time, even in the wintertime. it's very rare you get down to a comfortable level where you want to wear a suit because it's sweltering, okay, which is kind of Hebrew way of saying swelter. Swelter. You got to say it's swelter. It's a Jewish term, swelter.
I just thought that I would look nice for you people, but apparently you want me to just bum it. Tomorrow I'll be on here with a hoodie and the hood up and a straight billed cap on. Is that better?
I'll be in a white beater.
Yeah, that's more appropriate.
I don't think I even own a white beater. I don't think I have one.
With the way that you've been acting, tonight, all you're going to be missing is a really hairy chest and a gold medallion of some kind hanging from your neck, and a fanny pack.
Yeah,
always.
Oh God, no! The other ones I can deal with. A fanny pack, no way. Not going to ever wear a fanny pack. Sorry. Or man purse, a merce. What the hell's a merce? Come on, guys.
They should do an opposite day where Steve does Kyle's style and Kyle wears Steve's look. That might actually be fun to do.
We could work on that maybe.
I
have to get really high though.
We'll do that.
I have to get really fucking high. Is that cool?
We'll do that.
I don't know if you want me to do this show high.
See. I love your tie, Kyle. Screw the haters. That's right. Screw the haters. Anti. What can you call it? Somebody that doesn't like ties. You loose people. Get it? Because if it's not tied, it's loose.
Well, here's a good question. Do you do a single or double Windsor? What do you prefer?
Depends on that depends on the what kind of tie you're wearing. If you're using a tie that's fatter. Something like this would be this is actually a half Windsor, but
yeah, those you prefer more of the like a string tie over like the wider ones, right?
Yeah, well, see, this is another thing. It depends on the collar.
It kind of depends what you're wearing, right? Yeah,
if
exactly.
If the collar tips flare out, then you have to wear a bigger tie. If they are more straight or kind of inward, then you wear a skinnier tie.
That's just why he's gay. He understands fashion.
I do like. I've always liked formal wear. When I was in high school, it was my senior year because I had been nominated for prom king, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do something completely different that nobody else does, and I'm going to wear an all white, solid white on white tuxedo. And I found out that there's a reason why especially guys don't wear white things to the prom, because I didn't even make it past the dinner before I was wearing half of the meal that we had. The whole left side of me was like brown from we went to some hibachi place. But anyway, funny story about that. I won prom king and I was drunk. I was like wasted. I barely remember winning. And I got called to the principal's office that Monday, and they took my crown back. They took my crown away from me because I was inebriated.
Wow, that's kind of sucky.
That's fucked up.
It is fucked up. You wanna make it more positive and read some super chats real quick? Get them out of the way. There's only like 4, but let's do them.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Arkady for $10 Canadian. Love the show, guys. Thank you, sir. These are fun. We got to admit, debate roulette probably takes more prep than anything else because there's so many moving parts to it. But I find it to be awesome. But we will have a dumpster fire. Devil Dog 314, 500 yen, which is about $5. Love your content, guys. Keep it up. Thank you, sir. Mr. Atheist, fuck what he said, doesn't matter. No, he says, if we confirm simulation theory, humans are so stupid they would start worshiping the coders, even though coders would never notice. I read that one out before, but I feel obligated to. And I think it's a good point. I really do think that probably if we did know we were in a simulation, the coders would be considered to be our new overlords or deities or whatever. As long as they don't turn that switch off.
That's my question. Could they bring you out from your current form in the simulation and put you in the real world? Like, that's a good question. Is there a way for them to patch you through?
They would have to somehow like make a construct in whatever their real world would be, and then download your consciousness. But then the way I look at this is some kind of infinite regress. If we're in a simulation to some kind of advanced civilization, what stops them from being a simulation is some other advanced civilization,
right?
Some kind of infinite regress.
And two, would they be considered gods though? Because the hypothetically speaking, the point of a simulation is that you want to see how society turns out without any kind of outside interference. So they would just be, bystanders, because they would
be godlike. They'd be godlike. I have a different way of kind of defining God, as far as to me, if it's not something who can change the laws of physics prescriptively, then I wouldn't give them the God label, right? Even if they had simulation theory, all they're doing is using the laws of physics that actually exist to create the simulation. But if there's a true God, they're not using just prescriptive properties. They are prescriptively changing the laws of science and physics for whatever reality it is. Now, you could argue, well, they're changing our laws according to their reality, but I don't know. I probably, at that point, we're not even the real. They're the real, whatever that would mean, right? They're the terrain, not the map. So.
Yeah, it's like this. They would be what I think we think of as when we look at an ant pile. We don't think about what's going on with their world on their level, like all the different intricate relationships or anything like that. You just walk past an ant pile. So would they even pay attention? Would they even be human? Would this civilization be some other life form that is monitoring us?
Yep. And one last one, Mr. Cook Jr., $5. Good night. God dang right, Airborne, all the way. So he's appreciative of your service. And by the way, there have been people asked us and I just got another message. Can they mirror the debate that they had from this channel and theirs? Yes, I have no problem with that. Just link back to the original video. I don't think Kyle has any issue with that. If you want to cut it and just put your debate on your particular channel, sure. Yeah.
Yep. If you've been on the show, for sure.
Yep.
Okay. Make sure you go and vote for your nominees for the Golden Nuns. Tomorrow at 9 a.m. we'll have part 1 of BS, which is a little, not spoiler alert, but kind of a hint of what's going on. We're introducing a new character. Everybody's used to the smoking nun that we have on here, but we've got she's not alone, and you're going to meet the new addition to the NonSequitur family tomorrow at 9 a.m. And I'm very excited to put that out there. I think you're gonna like. You're gonna laugh. So check that out at 9 a.m. Also, we'll be uploading Steve's debate with Wayne Fillmore tonight or tomorrow morning, and you'll be able to see how Steve was able to talk Wayne Fillmore out of young Earth creationism and into a little bit more modern science. So,
and I've actually had, you know what's funny in that debate? I learned how to. There's a couple of ways of pronouncing these words, but the correct pronunciation is Cercopithecordea, and I pronounce it Cercopithecordea. It's actually Cercopithecordea. So when you watch that debate, that's one thing I wish I go back and change. That I actually pronounced the superfamily under Catarini correctly. It's Cercopithecordea. So
who would even stop and say,
like that?
He's saying that wrong. No one even knows what that word means.
Well, actually, they did, because Sygart and I got into it because Sygart was telling me that we were. I love Sygart, but he told me we were.
He's a PhD biologist,
and he got it wrong. So,
but he would know how to say it though. He's a
yeah, of course. Yeah,
you could have said that nine or 10 different ways. Nobody would have ever.
Probably not, but it's one of the things that you wish you go back and change, right? And this was 2 years ago, almost going on 3 now. I wish I could go back and pronounce it right, because I don't think that I did, from what I recall. Oh well. Everything else I got perfect, I think, though. A lot of people watched it, experts, and they said, yeah, you did a really good job. So,
well, I'm off to go find out in reverse order just what kind of stimulants that Steve took before this program, so that we can make sure he's good to go for the rest of the season. You don't shoot stimulants.
That's like smelling.
Well,
me,
you
right?
can.
That's not dabbing where you gotta go like this. I suck at these things.
Okay, it's.
All I know is Christy's gonna smoke me out. And I know what that means now, by the way. I didn't know that
you have to
actually
extend your
years
arms,
ago.
Steve.
Oh,
Steve,
wait,
extend
okay.
your arms.
Wait. If Betty Ross can do this right, is that right?
No,
Is that right?
Steve.
No.
Pull your your left arm across to your nose. Yes, and put your head down. Right.
There you go. All right, cool. So, Christy, I had no idea what smoke out meant until I had a girlfriend that was really high on pot. I mean, a lot. She just loved pot. I had no idea what that even meant. So, and that was only like, I don't know, like 7 years ago or something like that, 6 years ago. I really had no idea what it meant to be smoked out. I was naive.
It's somebody. I'm glad I wasn't the only one that picked up on it. And we're leaving on this note, but you cited Betsy Ross, right?
Who?
You didn't you say Betsy Ross?
No, I don't think so.
I know.
Regards to what?
It's confirmed. When we were doing the tapping, you said Betsy Ross.
No. Oh, did I? I meant Betty Ross. Betty White. I'm sorry, Betty White. God damn it.
Okay.
See what happens when you're high as fuck, even though I'm not high. Betty.
If I'm not
Betty
mistaken,
White.
and
Thank
I
you.
could be, and I
what the hell's the difference?
Mistaken
Betty
on
Ross, Betty White. It's just
no.
she's
I
just
think
as old as
one of them sewed the first American flag. That's the difference.
Yeah. Okay. One of them's still alive, barely. Although I don't think Betty White will ever die. She's actually like been dead. I think like
goodbye, everyone.
I remember. Good night. Peace. Let's get out of here.
Non sequitur. Your facts are uncoordinated.